All right, Grand Lake, what's going on here? I'm sure that, I was intoxicated when I was asked to do this, Donna. Yeah, she set me up, I'm telling you. Yeah, but no, it's all good. But yeah, Donna's probably one of these people that in Grand Lake that keeps the heart beating in this town. So give her a hand because this one does a lot for us. Yeah. So let's see. I don't really start. I was born here. I'll probably die here, but I was born here in the back seat of a '56 Chevy. Probably where I was conceived. But mile marker 13, on Friday the 13th, Highway 34. That's exactly where I was born, and that's probably where I'll die too. But we'll see. Growing up Grand Lake was, somebody asked me that the other day, and I was like, man, how do you explain it? I mean, 5 years old, that's probably where I would start here. Coming down to Grand Lake on Main Street was like being on the Midway at the State Fair, every day. I mean, it was great. You couldn't ask for a better living. We had 3 putt-putts in this town. At one time, we had 5 swimming pools in this town. Believe that or not. It was crazy. The bar scene was always going. But growing up here was like, your parents would get up in the morning and they'd say, hey, do whatever you gotta do, just don't burn the town down. I'm like, okay. Gives you a wide range of things to do. But growing up here was, you couldn't ask for a better living, really. I mean, it was crazy. The things that went on in this town were unbelievable. I can remember, I was 6 years old, and we had a shooting gallery right here on Main Street. Live ammo. You'd never hear of that again. But I can remember, and we had the Chuck Hole right next door. We were sitting out there eating our ice cream cones one day, and all this commotion started. I looked down the street, and my dad came out, and this guy had pulled a knife on my brother and took the bank bag, and my dad shot him right there on the damn boardwalk. I'm like, oh my God. Marshall came down, threw him in the truck, all good. These are the things that went on in Grand Lake. And people say, oh, it's just Grand Lake, Well, hey, that's the way it was, Crazy stuff like that happened all the time. I can remember when I was probably around, 8, 9 years old, and we were at the pharmacy. Grand Lake had its own pharmacy, you bet. And we were standing there, and this lady comes screaming out of the bar, And my mom was like, what's wrong? And she's like, they're riding horses through the bar. And my mom was like, oh yeah, that happens every weekend. Calm down, it'll be okay.
Was that Lariat?
Oh yeah, Lariat. Well, back in that day, it was called the Rockin' K.
Okay, the Rockin'
Yeah, you bet. Yeah. Crazy stuff like that happened on every weekend, Never a dull moment in Grand Lake, trust me. But, it was like an adventure every day here. It didn't matter what you were doing. If you were on the lake, you were up on the mountain climbing, snowmobiling, hiking, whatever, There was never a dull moment. You just can't beat a living like that. It was incredible. So, and then, let's see, if we're moving on here, the buildings in this town, there were a lot of old buildings that went away, but, these were some of the coolest buildings you've ever been in. The Pinecone Theater, what a great old building, Live theater there, that's where they had the live theater.
And that's the parking lot next to Charlie.
Right, yeah. And then, you had the Boot Hill across the street, the putt-putt. And then, I'm trying to think where, the other putt-putt was right here, the pavilion. It was right here in the corner of the park. And then the one across the street, And those places, that's a happening place there, But it was like moving on, the corner cupboard. That was a great old building.
Right there.
Yeah, right over here. And then the theater here. Those were great places. We'd come down here to the theater, it'd be 50 cents to get in, $5, you had popcorn and candy bars and got to see a movie.
Do you remember some of the movies you saw?
Oh yeah, a lot of John Wayne movies were, those were big time. I remember seeing The Who, the Pinball Wizard,
Great.
standing line all the way out to the street, I mean, those are the kind of movies we got to see. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, great place. Yeah. Let's see, moving along, we had Squeaky Bob's, which is now Rocky's, and that place was always happening. I remember living in the upstairs of that place with Steve Cormie and all those guys. Oh my God, talk about a party every night. Oh yeah, it was going on. Yeah. I think one of the most memories I have over at Squeaky Bob's was the Gong Show. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Gong Show was going on. It was R-rated for sure, but yeah.
Tell about that a little bit.
Yeah, so it was a takeoff from the Gong Show on the TV, But oh yeah, these people would show up with some most outrageous acts you ever saw in your life, And people are like, God, did they get away with that? Of course we got away with it. It's Grand Lake, Yeah, Squeaky Bob's. Let's see, where One Love is now, used to be the Petties. I remember that. There was a swimming pool on the second floor. Bad idea. But yeah, those are the things that you dealt with. A stagecoach. Oh yeah, I got some memories of that. So, yeah, Firehouse used to be where the library is now. And, they had this air raid siren on top. I mean, you can hear this thing, halfway to Granby, But it was kind of strange that I thought, let's see, two whistles were a fire meeting, 3 whistles meant that there was a fire, and 1 long whistle meant that there was a poker game in the back room in the stagecoach. I remember that distinctly. Those are the kind of things that went on around here. Grumpy's. Oh yeah. That was my mainstay, Grumpy's. And I was a bartender there for 10 years or something like that.
And that's White Buffalo.
Yeah. White Buffalo. But yeah, it was funny there because when I started working there, I think Fred and Charlie owned it then.
Hey, Fred.
Yeah, and Charlie would tell me, she'd say, hey, when the locals come in, their first drink's free. And I'm like, okay, I understand that. She goes, but the second part of your job is to make sure that these old guys get home. Evie Walker, Bob Wall, all these guys would come in there, But yeah, we'd make sure that they get home, that was part of my job. I'm like, driving these old guys home, I mean, oh my God, the stories they would tell, And then they would like, oh yeah, make a left here or right here. I'm like, well, you live right over there. Like, yeah, I know, we want to drive around town for a while. Are you kidding me? Yeah, those were good times for sure. Yeah, let's see. As I was growing up, and then you get into your teen years, and oh yeah, things started happening then, I mean, they called us hoodlums, but really we were just part of the scene. So, yeah, it was pretty crazy. Yeah, I remember Gladdy and Louie. Heck, oh my gosh, there's a couple. I remember my parents would drop us off over there when we were small, and they'd be our babysitters, right? I'm telling you what, Gladdy, if you jacked out of line, she'd say, I'm gonna stick you in the steam machine. Oh yeah, you didn't get off the couch, I'm like, oh no, man, she's gonna stick me in the steam machine, don't do that. Yeah, great people. I can remember one time we were down there with the boys, and we were making a ruckus. Gladdy sent Louie down there to see what was going on, and we were down there and we were trying to make a bet. Well, actually, it was more of a dare. Don't ever dare anybody in Grand Lake, because then you have to do the next dare. So the dare was that we were trying to get one of the boys to ride his snowmobile down through the middle of town and back. Well, it was the middle of June. So sure enough, they jumped on that snowmobile, ran it all the way back. Sparks are flying off the damn thing. It was just crazy. And later on, Gladys like, did you get those boys straightened out? And Louis said, oh yeah, I got them all straightened out. And so that was the dare. But the next dare that Louis came up with was like, okay, I got a good dare for you. We got an old boat out here, an old aluminum fishing boat, just piece of crap, He goes, but if you guys can get in this boat, and I mean, it's like June, early June, I mean, the river's running hard, you guys get in that boat and see if you can ride it down through the river, right in front of the rapids. Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, this is like, really? Are you serious? It's like, I dare you. So, yeah, we had to jump in the boat, put our life vest on, our helmets, and fly down that river. By the time we got to the bottom, the thing was sinking, because it ripped everything out from the bottom, He goes, hey, that was pretty good. Can we do that again? I mean, it was crazy stuff, Everybody in this house, everybody had a horse. The town had a hitching post all up and down the street where you could tie your horse up. Started to see those go away. I mean, that was a part of history right there for sure. Let's see, what else went on in this town that was crazy? Oh yeah, I remember in my teen years we'd be partying up in the woods. We'd come to town, go to the donut shop. We had a great donut shop here. So we'd get donuts and, some juice, and we'd be sitting in the park. We were sitting there, and a couple of us and had a couple new guys in town, And all of a sudden, we see this long-haired guy run by, and then we see this other guy chasing him with a shovel. My friend says, wasn't that your sister's boyfriend, and wasn't that your dad? Oh, yeah, that was him. I said, you don't see that every day. The guy next to me just put his hat over his head and said, that's just Grand Lake. Those are the things that went on here, Don't see that every day. But it was quite the experience, And then once you start getting into, your 20s and you're turning 21, let's see, Grumpy's had turned into a 21 bar. It was a 32 bar before that, Applehawn's owned those bars, I think, at that time, Frank Sr., he was a great old guy. If you needed a keg of beer, he said, well, come around to the back, we'll set you up. Because, at that time, we weren't old enough to drink, but hey, he's like, just take your keg up in the woods, and be careful. I mean, those are those things that go on, Let's see, the Southways, up there, top of the hill, what is it now? The
Hoppy.
Gateway, Hoppy Southway, you better believe it. There's some characters there, Hoppy Southway, Danny Schneller back there in the back. Don't think you're getting off easy there, pal. Don't worry about it. Statute of limitations ran out on all that stuff. There's crazy things going on here. The post office is where, what is it now?
Never Summer.
Right.
Never Summer.
Never Summer Ranch, right there, I can remember there, the post office sign. It was this huge wood sign. Had to weigh 300 pounds. Handmade. Came up missing one day. We're like, how does somebody crawl all the way up there and get that sign off there, Well, it was gone for about a year, then all of a sudden, lo and behold, it reappeared. I'm sure that, Danny, I'm sure you had something to do with that. But stuff like that happened all the time, I remember Rocky Garber. Here we go. We had two stables in this town. You ran horses, go out riding. This guy, he was the essential cowboy of this town. I'm kidding. Him and Doc Lee, oh my God. There's a pair. If something went wrong, those were the people you went to talk to, They had it all under control. Rocky was the mayor for, God, I don't know, a lot of years here, But,
And his stables were where the hub is now. The rustic stable.
And there was a good story about the old stables there. So once the stables had shut down, they had a few, I think they made an apartment in the top. I believe Doobie used to own that place, But he couldn't get rid of it. And we're all sitting down there, Grumpy's, probably about midnight, and we heard this huge explosion. I mean, it was cracking the windows and the doors. And what the hell? So we go out in the street, and the roof of that place was sitting in the middle of Main Street. I'm like, what the hell? Well, he tried to dynamite the place before he get the insurance off of it. Didn't work too well. Said, nah, he got busted for that one, I'm pretty sure.
So was that Rocky Garber who did that?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
All right.
Yeah. There used to be, there used to be a pool hall in that building also. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Who would have thought? But yeah, we've lost a few of those buildings. Trying to think of the bowling alley.
Yeah, where that is. That was
all the cabins in there.
Bucket
Yeah.
Bronco, I think.
Correct. Oh yeah. Boy, you do have a memory there. Jesus. But yeah, that was one of those things that should have never went away. The bowling alley was definitely the happening place in this town in the wintertime for sure.
Yeah.
Someday, hopefully we'll get another one. But let's see. Oh, my favorite holiday, which is a national holiday for me, the turtle races. Oh my God. Oh yeah. That was a 3-day event. Oh my God, really. But that was at the Davenhaven mostly. I mean, I think it started at Creaky's, but it eventually went over to Davenhaven. Yeah, Craig and Carrie did a really good job at that. I mean, people would come to that thing year after year. I mean, from different states. I mean, they would definitely just make it a point to be here for the turtle races. Yeah, that was a good time. And just on that note, we were going to bring back the turtle races. Oh yeah, we've been talking to a company that makes toys, and they were talking about maybe doing a track around the park here. Yeah, and they will be making these little turtles that are electronically controlled. Yeah, so that's in the works. Yeah, so that'd be a good thing to see come back to the town. But the Chuckle, oh yeah, got a lot of stories about that place. So let's see here.
Now, that's where Grand Pizza is now, the
Yeah.
Chuckle.
So I was going through the file here, and there's the menu for the Chuckle. Yeah, you get waffles for 60 cents. Yeah, stuff like that. Hash browns for 30 cents. You get an omelet with all the fixings for $1.20. Just crazy stuff, I mean, that was back in the day, for sure, But there was, it was quite interesting,
How much was the hamburger?
What's that?
How much was the hamburger?
A hamburger? Let's see. Well, I have to pull that up for you. Of course, I got to put my glasses on because I can't see shit. But let's see. Let's see. A cheeseburger, 65 cents. Yeah. Right. A hamburger, 50 cents. Yeah. You get a steak and eggs, $1.70. There we go. Yeah. I mean, that was just. I mean, you just don't see prices like that anymore.
What year was that?
What's that?
What years was that?
That was in 1967.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. I can remember when Grand Lake got flooded, believe it or not. The river came over the banks, all the water was coming through. And I think we were probably the only place that was open, and my dad was in there flipping burgers and his waiters. You just never see something like that before.
The water came up all the way to Chuckle?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. And I think that was probably the biggest flood we ever had here.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Was that snow melt?
What's that?
Was it snow melt?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So, it's I think I'm trying to think back when we had. Well, I can remember being at the rapids, and the river was so high that it was actually coming into the building. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, we haven't had snows like that in so many years. I mean,
What year was that?
I think that was probably early 70s. And then I can remember as a kid that you could walk up on the snowbanks and keep walking, and you would be on top of the roofs, in town. That's how deep the snow was.
And it really used to be like that all the time.
Oh yeah, it was like that every winter, I mean, it was crazy. You walked through the boardwalk, it was like walking into a tunnel, It was just amazing. Yeah, really amazing stuff. And then let's see. What else did we always? Oh yeah. So yeah, the stagecoach. Yeah. There was something going on there every night.
Now let's tell them where the stagecoach is. I'm not sure what to call it. We'll call it El Pacifico.
Yeah,
It's
the
been
old-
Brothers, it's been, so many things. Right over
Brothers now.
Yeah, Brothers, I think it's
Yeah,
called
yeah.
now. Yeah,
Okay,
right.
go ahead.
Yeah. So I remember sitting in there one time, and they had these golden gloves, boxing gloves, up on the wall. And this lady asked me. She says, what's all that about? And I'm like, oh, that was my mom and Maureen when they were boxing it out one night over some recipe or something. So they had put up these golden gloves, So it was pretty good. Yeah, never a dull moment in Grand Lake. And then let's see, what was next to that? The Blue Chalet. Oh yeah,
That's right.
the ice cream place, the Blue Chalet. First building I think that they ever painted that was completely blue in town. Now, you would never get away with that now. But yeah, that was a good place, yeah. Let's see, we had, I'm gonna think, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we had 4 gas stations in this town at one time.
Tell where they were.
Yeah, so let's see, the Sinclair was where the bank is now. The Texaco is where the repertory office is, right? And then across the street from that was the Standard Station, which was now the Lone Eagle. Yeah. And then, of course, the Conoco. It's always been there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, people were like, we only got one gas station? I'm like, well, now we do. But we used to have like 4 or 5, which is crazy. Yeah, I remember all that. Yeah, it's crazy. Let's see. Pace Kemp. Oh, my gosh. There's a woman. Oh, yeah. She was a no-nonsense woman. You go over to her house, you didn't touch anything because she would chop your fingers off. Yeah. She was hell on wheels too, boy, I'm tell you. Let's see, who else we got around there? Oh yeah, let's see, the Schnellers, of course, back there in the back. Ben Schneller, he had his shop at one time. The Fishers, yeah, they had a marina down there on Shadow Mountain. Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark and Jean at Lake Cove.
Yeah, Lake Cove, correct, yeah. Yeah, he was the only guy I know that could pick up a motor. I don't care how big it was, he'd pick it right up off the boat and put it on the rack to fix it. Yeah, he didn't need no help. He was a big boy. Yeah.
Bob Sharp?
Oh, yeah. You bet. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's Lone Eagle, yeah, for sure. You bet. Yeah, he was a character. Another character who was in town for a long time, yeah. You bet. Yeah, we've had quite a few of them, Let's see. Oh, the dogs in this town. Oh my God. Well, yeah. I could go on all day about the dogs in this town. Yeah, I mean, they were characters in themselves. And we've had some doozies, let me tell you. I can tell you that some of these dogs would end up in Granby, and you'd be at the store in Granby, like, whose dog is that? And I'm like, oh, well, that's my buddy's dog. Where does he live? Grand Lake. Well, how did he get here? I'm like, I don't know, maybe he hitchhiked. I'm gonna ride back. Well, I know that. Crazy stuff. I had here recently. I was walking dogs, and animal control pulled up on me, and they're like, "Hey, where's the leash for this dog?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know." She goes, "Well, isn't it your dog?" I'm like, "No." She goes, "Well, it's been following you around all day." I'm like, "Well, that's what dogs do." She was totally confused. She just got in the truck and drove off. Okay, we're all good there. Yeah, stuff like that happens all the time. Yeah. Let's see. Trying to think. Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, here's a good one. So we're sitting at the bar, and somebody came in and said, it's like 11 o'clock at night, and they're like, "You ain't gonna believe what we just saw. We just saw somebody go water skiing through the channel." Yeah, 11 o'clock at night. I'm sure that was another one of Danny Schneller's outfits there. Oh, was that my brother? Yeah, it figures. Yeah, I knew you guys were involved somehow. Yeah. Right?
know where you're going, though.
Right, now.
Surprise him. Surprise, we're going to the channel.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I can remember, Grand Lake, they had their own police force
Let
here.
go, though. He wouldn't let go. There's no way he would let go.
I hear you. But yeah, we had our own police force here in Grand Lake. Yeah, greatest thing in the world. I mean, if you got pulled over, you weren't going to jail, And give me your keys, you come down and get your car in the morning and give you a ride home. That's how it worked. It was crazy stuff. I can remember one time we were been at the bar, the old man, me and my brother, and we pulled out onto the highway and slid across and went in the ditch. And the cop pulled up, and he's shaking his head. He's like, "Who was driving?" Well, my dad pointed at my brother pointed at me, and I pointed right back at my dad. I was like, "Oh no, this is not working." The cop, he just shook his head like, "All right, let's get you guys pulled out of here before I can go home." And stuff like that. It was funnier than hell. Never admit to anything in Grand Lake. Always blaming the person next door to you. So, that's how things went. It was crazy stuff. The horse riding through the bars, I mean, that was like a weekend event, it happened all the time. People thought that was crazy. I'm like, well, no, that's normal. It's Grand Lake, it'd be okay. Let's see, what else have I got in here? The file. Oh, yeah. It's well-kept secrets in here, let me tell you. Let's see what we got in here. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I got Boot Hill ice cream. Oh, yeah, that was always a good one. It's kind of funny that you could go as a kid and start at one end of town and you could get every treat you ever thought about. You stopped at Polly's. That was the first stop. Polly's candy shop, And then you make your way across the street, which would be Zick's grocery store. Oh, yeah. You could go there and we would take our pop bottles there. You get 5 cents for a pop bottle.
Now that's at the Sagebrush.
Yeah, that's where Sagebrush is now, correct. And, you figure, we'd go all over town in the mornings and get these pop bottles, because, hey, you got $5 worth of pop bottles, you were headed to the amusement center. That's where it was happening. We had a great amusement center. Penny candy, $5, you were in there all day long. You didn't have to worry about it. Yeah, I can remember that very distinctly. Old man Sick, he would be like, "Where'd you get these pop bottles?" Sometimes we'd have to lie. We'd say, "Oh, well, we found them down the street, but actually we were taking them off the back of his store and running around the front and getting money for them." Yeah, that's how that worked. Yeah, it was crazy. Let's see, who else do I remember around there? You could not go a day in this town without some kind of event happening. It was just that way. I can remember. Here's a good one. So, bringing girls home. Oh yeah, I'm telling you what. I brought a girl home one time, introduced her to the family and whatnot, and she played a piano. And we had a piano in our house, right? But she wanted to know what the hole was in the top of the piano. I says, "Well, it's a bullet hole." And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh yeah. Mom came home one time, thought that the old man was flirting around with some girl and took a shot at him." And she's like, "No way." I'm like, "Oh yeah." I said, "It went through the piano, the wall, and then it went into the refrigerator." And she's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'm dead serious, honey." I said, that's how things were done in the day. The old man, he never flirted with no girl after that for a while. I'm telling you what. Yeah, it was crazy stuff.
So where did you live?
At that time, we were living in the house, which was Snowshoe Lodge.
Okay.
So that's where.
So it's on Mountain Avenue.
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of people have lived there. Dave and Lois Sauer, a lot of you will remember them. They lived there.
And Gene Stover lived in
Gene
that
Stover
area.
lived there before. Yeah, if anybody remembers that. GW,
Yeah, that was a great old house. I mean, you could take, the house had It was so weird. You pull the dressers out and actually walk behind the walls in that house. Yeah, it was the strangest thing I ever saw. Oh yeah, it was pretty comical. I remember sitting in that house, and we had this big dining room table, and there was only 5 of us, but the setting was for 6 or 7. And somebody asked us one time, they said, "Well, there's only 5 of you here. How come there's so many?" Well, my mom would bring home strays. I mean, she'd pick them up on the highway hitchhiking or whatever and bring them home for dinner. Or, somebody had gotten booted out of their house for something, they would always come over for dinner. That was just the way it was, But I remember sitting there one time and our cousins were up in the city. And we're having a big old dinner there, if everything's all fine. And then all of a sudden my mom jumps up, runs to the back door, grabs a rifle, and takes a couple shots at some stray dogs that were chasing the horses in the corral. I'm like, and they were just flipped out. They're like, "Oh my God." And I'm like, "It's okay. She's a good shot. Don't worry." I mean, stuff like that happened all the time. I remember riding horses from town up to the national park, when Holzler still had their ranch there. Oh yeah, Johnny Holzler Sr., there's a character. I remember one day he came to us and he says, "You boys go down there and saddle up those horses that are in the barn." Well, we get down to the barn and there's this elk in there and he's just going ape shit. And I'm like, "Oh my God," And I'm like, asking Howard Holzler, I'm like, "What's the deal with the elk?" He goes, "Oh, well, grandfather, he got caught up in the barbed wire, so he roped him and brought him home." I'm like, "Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me," But those are the things. And then I remember one time he said, "Oh yeah, you boys get those horses, and we'll go up here. We're gonna go up to the beaver ponds." And I'm like, "Okay." Well, back in those days, it was like, hey, a beaver pond, it was gonna be dynamited. Oh yeah, talk about some fun there. Yeah, the old boy had dynamite. We're up in the national park blowing things up. It was just unbelievable. Johnny used to take us up there and he would show us where all these old mines were at and stuff, And I remember one time he took us to the old Formica mine. It was crazy. I mean, it was the most spectacular thing you ever saw in your life,
With quartz and mica?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you would walk into this mine and you would get in the back there and it caved in, so water was coming in, and the sunlight was coming in, and I mean the whole place just sparkled, It was just an amazing thing, But and all those things, I think they've probably covered most of those other ones, for sure. But those were good times, though, for sure. Anytime you can get on a horse and ride into the national park and not be accosted by a park ranger, I mean, that was just the way it was. I mean, I can see, I think Tunnel Road, which is now West Portal, they started changing the names of these streets. I'm like, people tell me, "Oh, we live on West Portal." I'm like, "Where the hell's that?" It's Tunnel Road, it's not West Portal. But stuff like that. Tunnel Road was our drag strip. We would build go-karts and all sorts of mechanical little devices and old snowmobiles and stuff. And we'd have drag races up on Tunnel Road. And the marshal would show up and say, "All right, that's enough of this." But those were good times for sure. Gosh, what else went on in this town? The Mountain Inn. Oh yeah, Dougal's. Yeah, great place there.
Tell about the food.
Oh yeah, family style food. I mean, all you could eat.
Right, and that's Kirk's fly fishing shop at the entrance to town.
Right. Yeah. And I remember I worked there for I worked for Dougal's, and then when Dougal's sold it to,
Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle, the Mountain Inn,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I worked there when she was there. And that's where we had Doc Lee's Saloon. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a character, Doc Lee. Nursey Young. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Nursey was our nurse when I was growing up in school. Oh, yeah. I remember when I got the chicken pox. I was at the chuck hole, and she'd come down there, gave me a shot in the butt, rolled me up in a blanket, threw me underneath the pie oven, said, "Here, you'll be warm under there." Oh my God. Yeah. And Doc Lee, I can remember him coming to the house one time. The old man cut himself pretty bad cutting up some wood, up in the woods, you know. Doc Lee, he come down, I mean, we weren't going to the clinic or nothing. Doc Lee's on his way. He'd throw some whiskey on there and stitch you right up, call you good. Yeah, that's how it worked. I can remember, oh yeah, one time we were screwing around with the guns. Oh yeah, my dad had a shooting gallery, but he was an avid gun collector. So we were screwing around with the guns one day up in the house, and my best friend shot me. Oh yeah. You think I went to this clinic? Oh no. My mom came upstairs, threw me down on the floor, picked that bullet out of me, threw some peroxide on there, slapped a Band-Aid on it, and said, "You're going to school." I mean, that was just the way it was, you know. I mean, I get to school, you know, the principal's like, I'm walking around like this. He's like, "What is wrong with you?" I said, "Paul shot me." Paul's like, "He threw a knife at me. I was totally self-defense." Stuff like Paul Schmidt.
Okay.
Yeah. It was crazy stuff, yeah. I remember, let's see, oh yeah, we were riding dirt bikes up there in Bussey's gravel pit, you know, and I remember Howard Holsworth, he fell off the back of it, pulled his teeth out, right? Oh yeah, it was horrible, you know, but he walked around like that for a long time. You know, people asked him, "Well, what happened?" He's like, "Oh, I got kicked by a horse." Yeah, man, I was on a motorbike. I remember that distinctly. You know, stuff like that happened all the time. I remember getting on the school bus when Petty still just showed up on the scene. Two beautiful daughters, you know. So I'd always sit next to the one, you know. And I came home one day, I had a big old black eye. I was trying to tell my mom I got in a fight in the schoolyard. My sister walked in, ruined the whole thing. She said, "That's not what happened. He tried to kiss that Penny girl and she gave him a black eye." Oh yeah, I remember that. Yes. Oh yeah, those girls were tough. You know? Girls in this town were tough. Don't mess around. You know, I used to tell people, I'm like, right. You know, I said, just the other day, as a matter of fact, I was sitting in the liquor store with Bart, and I got a phone call from this girl. I hung up the phone. He goes, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I don't know." I said, "What's wrong with the women in this town?" And he goes, "Well," and then of course Jeanette, you know, she told me, she goes, "I don't know. I drink filtered water." I'm like, "Yeah, I bet so." But yeah, I said, "Yeah, it's the water." You know, women in this town, they drink that water and they start getting crazy. Yeah, that's a true story. Yeah. Let's see, what else is going on in this town at this time? The fire, we had what, 2 fires here now? Yeah. The last one was pretty scary. I think I was probably one of the last people to be evacuated. I've never seen anything like that. I think the town would be here when I got back. It was crazy.
How did you realize that you were supposed to evacuate, or?
Well, yeah, I had evacuated, but I had to come back.
Oh.
Yeah, we left a few people behind. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, they probably have no idea. You know?
They probably didn't know.
Yeah, so, you know, we came back and I had like 4 people in my van, 3 dogs and a bird. Oh, and 1 cat. Yeah, so yeah, we came back to rescue them. Yeah, crazy stuff. The first fire I think we had was, it almost made it to town. It made it pretty close to Columbine Lake there. Yeah, yeah. And you could see flames shooting over that, and that was quite the deal.
Yeah, that was around 1980.
Right,
that
yeah.
he's talking about. Yeah.
I remember that distinctly. Yeah. Let's see, what else do we have going on here? Oh yeah, the regatta. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Regatta's a big thing here in town, you know. So, but it was always funny because, you know, they have the, what is they call the ball? What is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commodore's Ball.
Commodore's Ball, yeah. Never invited. Never invited. But that didn't matter because I guarantee you, we knew how to get in. We would be in there and, you know, we'd be drinking their booze and eating their food and they'd be like, "Well, who are you?" We're like, "Oh, we're Oh yeah, we're with those people. We don't know them, but we're with them. So yeah, that was always a good one. Yeah, always looking forward to the Commodore's Ball. Yeah, for sure. Let's see, what else did we went on here? Yeah, David Haven, you know, I mean, that was one of my mainstays. Greg and Kerry Barnes, oh yeah, great people. You know, their family had done a lot for this town, so yeah. But there was always something happening at the David Haven, no matter what was going on. It was like a reprieve. You weren't on Main Street? Oh yeah, we're heading, you know, you could hide out to David Haven. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, those are good times, for sure. Yeah, let's see, what else went on around here? Let's see, let me just go back in here, go back in time a little, you know? Let's see here. Let's see.
I gotta hear the Hell's Angels story.
The what?
The Hell's Angels story.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Back in the 70s, Hell's Angels come to town, right? 4th of July. Oh my God, you've never seen a scene like this before. You know, there were so many of them, they had to shut the town down. They were deputizing anybody that lived here to take control of the town. I mean, it was the most craziest thing you ever saw. I remember we were sitting in front of the amusement center, you know, and we were just small kids, really. I mean, you know, I think it was early 70s, yeah. And these two big old bikers come over, and they were telling my sister, you know, well, they hadn't eaten in a week, and they wanted to eat my dog.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, just screwing with her. But my sister says, have at it.
Oh.
Well, they took 2 steps towards this dog, and this dog chased them down the street. They were so big bad bikers anyway. Yeah, I remember that real distinctly. We were laughing our asses off when that was going on. Yeah, oh yeah, and, you know, and years after that, you know, the bikers were still coming back, not in force like that, but you know, my old man had given them a lot to camp on. You know, because they were getting booted out everywhere. They were trying to camp, you know, on people's properties and whatnot. The old man, he gave them a lot. You know, gave them a lot to camp on. Oh yeah. And for years after that, you know, they would always come back and pay respect and whatnot. You know, so yeah, Sons of Silence, Banditos. I mean, you know, they all had that respect. You know, so it was kind of cool to see that stuff. But yeah. Never seen town shut down like that before. I mean, it was quite the scene. I wished I had a video camera. Trying to think.
Speaking of shut down, we're gonna have to maybe
What's that?
maybe 5 more minutes of story.
Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to think of some other things that went on in this town. Gosh. Let's see. I'm trying to think about.
How'd you get your name, Turtle? Yes.
EJ named you. No, I mean.
Oh, no. We really don't want to go there. Oh, yeah, now you want to get all up close and personal, huh? Okay. I can only tell you so much. Whatever happens, do not have this 1 or 2 more girlfriends in the same town or even in the same county, because you'll end up with a name like Turtle. Okay? That's all I'm going to say about it. Closely guarded secret. Yeah. So, yeah, you know, I mean, what's that?
Chicken rider.
Yeah, well, hell, we don't go there. I'm trying to think what else is going on in this town. I don't know. I mean, growing up here, you can't beat it. I mean, I lived my whole life here, you know. People ask me, you know, why didn't you go somewhere else? I'm like, well, why? You know, it's a beautiful place. I mean, you know, you have a free run of just about anything you want to do. You know, I mean, so, you know, Grand Lake has got, you know, things that stick with you. I mean, in the heart, really. You know, I guess I think the most thing I could probably say, you know, is that we've had several characters in this town, you know, and most of them, you know, gave their all, you know, to keep this town what it is. And you know, on that note, I would say, you know, be careful. You know, don't let developers come in here and start building condos and shopping malls or whatever. I don't want to see this place turn into another Estes Park, you know? I mean, it's not that. Grand Lake is not that, you know? Keep the integrity of our town, for sure, you know? I remember one time my brother took me to a town meeting, and I'd never been to one. Right? We go in there, and this discussion topic was putting a traffic light in Grand Lake. Oh, no. My brother jumped up, said, if you do that, we'll put a chain around it, we'll drag it down the street. Right on, you know. Never got invited back after that, but that's okay. Yeah. I would just say, you know, really keep the integrity of our town. Let's not turn it into something that it's not, you know. And the only other thing I can say is that this town is, one of the reasons I stay here is because of the people, you know. The people of this town would give the shirt off their back to help somebody. I mean, it's always been that way, you know. I think we're losing a little of that, you know, but, you know, that's what Grand Lake is, really. I mean, it's all about helping out each other. And I think on that note, when I finish here, it's that, hey, we need to start taking better care of each other, you know. I mean, you know, take care of the people that are in this town, whether you like them or not. You know, it has nothing to do with that. The politics and all that, lay all that aside, you know. It's all about taking care of each other. And I think that'll do it. All right, thank you.